Answer. Because you are that, you are capable. You are gifted, and you are soon to be opinionated. It's okay to be different, and it's so okay to just be. The world awaits to receive you.
Blessings, and good evening, everyone. Happy evening and happy Sabbath. Welcome to Uncensored Enlightenment Talk, and you're here with your host, Grace Levi. Tonight, we're going to be talking about something very important, something that I think the Black community should pay attention to, especially in times like this. What we're going to be doing is re-highlighting some aspects of a few cases that took place over the last 6 to 7 years. We're going to put them on the screen. And I first want to send love and blessings to the family of all of these young individuals who passed untimely. We're going to be talking about Kenneka Jenkins, Shanquella Robinson, Kendrick Johnson, and Samaji. Okay, Shamaji. Let me pronounce her name correctly. And today we're going to talk about how the FBI or the government fails us. I'm going to focus on the FBI because in each case, the FBI seemed to do some type of investigation or did not. But in each case, these cases were very troublesome for the Black community. So let's talk about it. One of the first things, what we're going to do. We're going to let it cook a little bit. We want to make sure that we know what the FBI is used for. Now, what made me bring this up is that, there was something that just happened with the pastor being arrested for allegedly making people work for free, some cultist behavior, and a whole lot of money. And the FBI have been investigating this. What I'm noticing a pattern is what the FBI do, and a lot of our agencies do, is they chase money, and sometimes they don't chase particular cases that are really detrimental to the Black community and that our hearts are tied around. Now I know we care about that pastor or whatever money he has going on, but that's what made me think about it. I was like, dag, every time they in the picture there's some type of money going on, because they get to keep some of their money. They get to keep some of their money, just like when the cops get to forfeit. But with that being said, that's what made me think about these cases like this. So let's put this on the screen real quick. I want to say thank you for being here. Thank you to the new subscribers, to the coming subscribers. Again, bear with us, turn your notifications on. We're having some system issues. It's so bad that I don't see a lot of people when they talk in the chat. I can see it on my device, but then I can't see it in StreamYard. So just be mindful of that, y'all. But I wanted to start off with this. What is the FBI actual job? Okay, so right here, one of the things I want to highlight right here, because I'm like, am I tripping? Is this something that they're not supposed to do? Here it says the violent crime. The FBI top priority are national security threats, but the Bureau continue to play a role in combating violent crime in large municipalities and local communities across the United States. The FBI focus on the most violent crime and organize those pose a major threat to the American society. Significant violent crimes such as mass killing, gang violence, armed robbery, drug trafficking, I'm trying not to say those words, can paralyze communities and stretch states and local law enforcement resources to their limits. Now, there's some factors in each cases that I want to talk about that is very fishy, and that's why I do think that the FBI should have done a thorough investigation in each of these cases. We're gonna make sure that we give love and tribute to the victims. I do want to say that the parents of these victims are still crying out. I do follow the mother of um, Kanika, Miss Martin, and she continues to cry out for justice as well, in love and memory of her daughter, as well as Kendrick Johnson. Kendrick Johnson mother is a big advocate of his investigation, getting it open. If you pay attention to her page, she's an open. Um, she speaks openly about this case and how she wants to basically continue and investigating it. So I definitely want to give y'all a heads up that Kendrick Johnson's mother is still seeking um, the closure, as well as Shamaji's father as well. I don't follow him, but I do. I'm going to get you up to date on his particular case, as well as Shanquella. I don't follow their family, Shanquella, but I do. Based on what we found, we go over here. We know that they're still seeking justice. Okay, so I just wanted to bring that to your attention because this is not just stories. As I always mention, this is real life. These are real people life. So I find it very intriguing to follow them. And the morning never stops. So this is what made me. Well, I talked about the two pastors. Those are not who I want to talk to, but the two pastors facing charges for $50 million labor and money laundering scandal. That's really what made me jump on, thinking about okay, the feds run down on a lot of things that got to do with money, but when it comes to other cases, we're still bleeding over them. So let's play this real quick. U.S. prosecutors. Let's start. We're going to be starting with Shanquella's case. Okay. Now we're going to start with the beginning, just a little bit about it, and then we're going to bring it up to date. As you know, Shanquella went out with her friends. Let me hold on a second. She went out with her friends to Cabo, and this is something that touches a lot of different aspects in any community, black community, just dealing with young people and their friends and understanding friendship, understanding how to be treated, what to expect. You a lot of times you can feel when people don't like you. And myself, I'm really funny about going out with people who may have some indifference with me, especially to another country. So, with that being said, this was the foundations of this particular situation where Miss Shanquilla went out with a group of her friends, some of them being her best friend, one of the guys being her best friend, and she ended up being unalive after a brawl. Okay, so um, let's put this on the screen. I think, let's see, hold on one second because I was trying. Here we go. So I'm not going to show you the fight, but I am going to show you some of the things that has been happening afterwards. So you know that they have been looking for the young lady, not even looking for the young lady Dejanay, but this is Shanquilla arrest warrant for femicide. Let me make sure I'm not getting beside myself because some of the audience haven't really been. I know y'all know about the case, but give me a second. Let me pull something else up so I can make sure that I'm giving y'all a good understanding of what happened, okay? Because I just went straight into what happened, what's happening now, the update, but I do want to go back into what actually happened just to give y'all a flashback. Okay. It's a little hard. Sometimes it's hard to find like clear videos because what end up happening is a lot of people have been making videos about this. Okay, so let's play this one. This was one of the first few broadcasts, I believe. Thank you for bearing with me, guys. I'll be having my stuff in order, but I want to make sure that I'm giving y'all a good timeline so we can pay respect to this particular situation. All right, let's play this video. Shows woman being attacked in Mexico before being unalive. Okay. Now we can selectively eliminate. So this is what we're going to be watching. Hopefully they don't have the full clip because that clip really bothers me. I'm going to be honest. I hate seeing it. It really does something to me to see her being attacked. Hold on one second. Until something terrible happened.
It was the perfect warm weather getaway until something terrible happened, and 25-year-old Shanquella Robinson wound up dead in Mexico.
I just sit back and wait on God, because like I say, she gonna get justice.
On October 28th, Shanquella traveled from her home in North Carolina to Mexico with 6 friends. They'd booked a villa in Cabo. These are images taken from a disturbing video circulating online. Her father confirms to CNN the video shows Shanquella being thrown to the floor and beaten on the head. It's unclear when the video was taken or if it depicts the moment she suffered the fatal injury. According to a copy of the death certificate obtained by CNN affiliate WSOC, Shanquella's cause of death was severe spinal cord injury and atlas luxation, which is instability or excessive movement in the uppermost neck vertebrae. The death certificate also notes that just about 15 minutes passed between the time she was injured and her death.
We just waiting for someone to be arrested.
Originally, the people Shanquella was traveling with, who her parents say were all friends from college, told her parents Shanquella died from alcohol poisoning.
Something is not adding up right here.
Not adding up because prosecutors in Mexico say evidence shows the death resulted from a direct attack, not an accident, and involved one of Shanquella's female friends. The suspect has not been named and no one has been charged, but Mexican authorities confirm an arrest warrant has been issued for the crime of femicide, the killing of a woman because of her gender.
If you know Quilla, she always get her way. So she gonna get justice, so I'm not worried about that. I'm more so disappointed that she was around people that she thought were her friends.
The FBI is investigating, and Mexican prosecutors are looking to extradite the suspect once they locate her. Shanquella's mother had spoken with her daughter the day before she died and said she sounded happy.
She was laughing and talking and said a chef was getting ready to cook them some tacos. And I said, well, okay, enjoy yourself, love you. I will talk to you tomorrow. And I never spoke with her again.
Shanquella was a student at Winston-Salem State University in North Carolina. Her father says she loved gymnastics and also had her own hair braiding business. Her parents say she had a heart of gold and never mistreated anybody. Hundreds turned out to pay their respects at Shanquella's funeral. Her parents are vowing to be her voice and fight for justice as they try to move forward without what her father calls his only jewel.
So this
He's a dictator. He's a dictator.
God, we put him on, and he is a dictator. That was a public announcement. But back to the Shanquella story. There's a few things that really stand out to me. That's why I want to talk about this, because I think the FBI had so many grounds to do a thorough investigation. And the investigation that they have done, we're going to talk about the findings, how it's just out of pocket. Because first and foremost, the first autopsy comes back with an atlas fluctuation. I'm saying it wrong. Atlas fluctuation. So basically, right around like the spinal under the bottom of the neck was broken. It was twisted to a certain extent. Now, if you remember I had trouble up there too long. If you remember the video, we saw what really traumatized me was to see her falling, hitting the ground and hitting the corner of the bed. So with that being said, just like a regular person, I think we all saw the point where she was really injured. But so what's so wild to me is that not only that we saw the fight, we saw the young lady Dejanay, that was her name at the time. She did change her name. We'll give you her new name. Dejanay fighting her, but they also made several false statements. Like, these things are illegal. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's so many things that was like, okay, that really shocked the public on why didn't the FBI actually just detain these people and send them to Cabo? Because as you see, it's some type of arrest warrant for at least Dejanay. Okay. And it's really troubling because the resources that they use for other investigation, these are some of the things that they should use for our people. It's not like they don't go out the country. Okay, so Shanquella Robinson death arrest issue for femicide. So let you listen to this. And what I'm going to pull up is I also have a case where the FBI literally went out to sea to go get a man who unalived his wife. So, you know what I'm saying? It's really crazy because when it comes to us, they don't have that same energy. But let's play this real quick.
An arrest warrant has now been issued in the mysterious death of an American in Mexico. Last month, 25-year-old Shanquella Robinson died while on vacation with friends. She went to Cabo October 28th and was dead the next day. ABC's Victor Oquendo reports Robinson's family is demanding answers.
Tonight, authorities in Mexico issuing an arrest warrant in the mysterious death of 25-year-old American tourist Shanquella Robinson. Local officials have not yet named the person, but they're calling them a direct aggressor against the Charlotte native and have initiated a request for extradition from the United States. In video that is too graphic to show, one of Robinson's acquaintances can be seen physically attacking her inside the room of the Cabo resort where they were vacationing last month. According to local reports, on October 29th, one of the guests staying at the resort called for help around 2 p.m. Upon arriving, medical professionals were informed that Robinson had drunk a lot of alcohol. A doctor reportedly said she was stable but dehydrated, suggesting she may be treated at a hospital. The guests insisting she remain at the villa. A police report stating Robinson went into cardiac arrest and was declared deceased around 6 p.m. But those reports differing from an autopsy obtained by ABC News stating that medical professionals arrived at the villa around 3 p.m. and declared her dead within 15 minutes, citing that Robinson died from a severe spinal cord injury and a dislocated neck.
But this to happen to her is just terrible. You know, I just couldn't believe it. It's like I'm still asleep, like a nightmare.
So, mind you, they lied. Okay, the autopsy, you're going to see the change in the autopsy that's different. These are all the things to me that should send red flags to the FBI and actually do a thorough investigation. But I'm going to show you another lie that, you know, they just overlooked, that they didn't change their story and basically says that she hit her head on the toilet bowl. So we're just going to go through this again because we want the people to remember what happened to these young people and how tragic it was for the Black community and how their family is still pursuing justice to this day. I really suggest you just follow their Facebook pages and you listen. It's a daily or at least a weekly post about these individuals and their loss. But again, this is something to me that says that the FBI should, again, red light. Let's listen to this. This is part of their investigation. FBI report, Shanquella Robinson friend says she hit her head on the toilet before the mysterious death, even though they see a video of a fight. That's why the findings of this particular investigation is so horrendous to me.
The FBI has released its first findings on a complicated, mysterious death involving a Charlotte woman who died while on a trip to Mexico back in 2022. WBTV was the first to break this story to you back then. We're talking about Shanquella Robinson. She, along with several others, thought to be friends, now known as the Cabo Six, vacationed in Cabo San Lucas back in October of 2022. Shanquella died while on the trip, but her death has been a mystery ever since. Soon after, videos surfaced online showing what is believed to be Shanquella and one of her friends fighting inside their hotel room. The group said Shanquella died of alcohol poisoning, but an autopsy.
So it went from alcohol poisoning to hitting her head on a toilet bowl and us seeing a physical fight. Again, if you're an FBI agent, I'm just being real, what would that prompt you to do?
Autopsy reveals she died of neck and spinal cord injuries. Well, WBTV has obtained the first of a series of initial findings from the FBI detailing what happened and why. It's a heavily redacted report, but the FBI states Shanquella and a group of friends, all names redacted, were in Mexico to celebrate one of their birthdays, adding the group stayed at an Airbnb. The report goes on to say there was an altercation and Shanquella died. Shanquella's friend said she was drinking and hit her head on the toilet, something we have never heard to this day. Well, someone in the group thought there may be 2 cameras in the house and tried to obtain the footage. Blank then contacted local law enforcement in Mexico. Pictures of Shanquella's body showed bruises on her. One person describing it looked like she was stomped on.
Mind you, this is the FBI report. I pulled it up, but it was so redacted that it was just disgusting that I couldn't even I couldn't take the time to go through it, but it is heavily redacted. But this is their report. Again, then we're gonna look at what they decide to do. Justice or just us? That's when I have to really bring that statement back to him. Justice or just us?
Just weeks ago, WBTV spoke exclusively with Shanquella's father. He says the whole ordeal has been tough for their family, but is hopeful a new Trump administration can put fresh eyes on the case.
We still waiting. I'm gonna let Dad talk, but let me let him talk, because I don't have no Trump. I have no hope in these administrations. I have hope in the people pushing them to do stuff by us being on them, and that's how stuff go. But to just think that someone's gonna come in and do something, maybe for tokenism, for a second. But I'm gonna let Shanquella father, speak.
It just seemed like somebody trying to sweep it up under the rug, like
Basically.
she was just a nobody, but she was somebody. She was my daughter. She was somebody to other friends that she had that loved and cared about her so much.
Now, to this day, no charges have ever been filed. Of course, WBTV will continue to keep tabs on this story.
Now, this was before Mexico put out their warrant for their arrest. But again, the reason why we're putting that out, because exactly what Dad said. They basically said that she means something to somebody. Like, this really hurts. Like, they're not going to let it go. And what really makes me want to talk about this too is because y'all know that I focus on Alexis Wilson, and I have somebody under my YouTube page said, "Won't you just leave her alone? Stop talking about her. Like, let her rest." But then you watch Mama Carver's page, and every other day she's still posting about her daughter. So it's something that the community need to realize from the outside, and just to stop watching stuff, because these are real people lives. So again, I could bring it to him when I go into Kenneka's account, and then we go into actually Kendrick account, and we'll go to the family's Facebook page. To this day, Kendrick mom is a true warrior. She's not going to stop. So this was the new autopsy findings, okay? Just to get you through so we can flash back of what happened. This is how many changes and up and down went on with this particular case.
There's no reason why a Black woman should go on vacation with her friends, be returned.
This is Shanquella's family lawyer. Her name is Miss Robinson as well. No relation, she says.
To her family in a box, and nothing be done for 5 months.
First told you at noon, federal prosecutors will not bring charges. Tonight, Shanquella's family says they're disappointed, but determined to continue their fight for justice. Thanks for watching WBTV All New at 6 o'clock. I'm Jamie Bull. Molly has the night off. The charging decision comes after another surprise in this case today, a new autopsy with different findings. The Mecklenburg County Medical Examiner's Office just shared those with WBTV. Brandon Hamilton has been on your side, keeping you updated on every development in this case from here in Charlotte all the way to Washington, D.C. And he joins us live now from the FBI Charlotte field office. Brandon, walk us through those 19 pages that you have right there in your hand after hearing from Shanquella's family today.
Well, Jamie, first, the important part is from the Mecklenburg County Medical Examiner's Office. This autopsy says there was no broken spine. Now, that is different than what we've heard from the Mexican authorities, which said and claimed there was a broken spine on Shanquella's body. Now, Shanquella and her attorney, her family, all saying today they are now left with more questions than answers.
On behalf of the family, again, we're very disappointed, very deeply disappointed.
Disappointment from the family of Shanquella Robinson after the Department of Justice announced Wednesday no federal charges will be filed in her death.
While we're here disappointed, we're not deterred. We're going to continue to press on. If the U.S. authorities are now again telling us, oh, well, it's back on Mexico because Mexican authorities have to do something, We don't have a problem with that.
According to the DOJ, the decision not to pursue federal charges came after, quote, result of the autopsy and after careful deliberation and review of the investigative materials by both U.S. attorneys' offices, end quote. That autopsy, conducted by the Mecklenburg County Medical Examiner's Office, nearly a month after Shanquella was found dead in Cabo, Mexico, and after her body was embalmed. It found no spinal cord injury and lists the cause of death as undetermined.
Wow.
Experts from Wake Forest Baptist Hospital also looked at the spine. Their determination is also part of the Mecklenburg County autopsy report. That report differs from what Mexican authorities have claimed. In documents previously released, an autopsy report conducted by Mexican authorities listed a broken spine and death as a femicide.
Her attack was captured on video, and now we're being told that there isn't going to be an arrest.
Sue Ann Robinson says they were told the FBI interviewed those who traveled with Shanquella on the trip and have communicated with Mexican authorities. She says they are ready to, quote, carve out their own path to justice, including a rally in Washington, D.C. on May 19th.
If the communication or the alleged missing piece can be completed before then we won't be there. But if not, we will be there and we'll be demanding it, because it cannot be that someone can go overseas and commit a crime against a U.S. citizen and come back and not be affected in any way.
So it's crazy. Basically, what the DOJ did was put it back on Mexico. But as you see, Mexico put a warrant out for her arrest. They just have not picked her up. Now, let me see if I can find anything else in this article that's a little bit different. This one, no federal charges will be filed in Shanquella Robinson's death following investigation. So I just want to look at this article. Sometimes when you look at another article, you listen, it'd be a little bit different. So let's see what we can get out of this. Kind of like the reason why. Why? What was the reason why? Oh, Mexico could get them, but you won't bring them to her. So the FBI announced this week that it has investigated the death of Shanquella Robinson and concluding that it will not file charges related to the case based on the result of the autopsy. We talked about that. So the death of Miss Robinson has been incredibly difficult for her family and the community. As a matter of police, federal officials generally do not issue public statements concerning that status of an investigation. However, given the circumstances of Robinson's death and the public concern surrounding the investigation, it is important to reassure the public that experienced federal agents and seasoned prosecutors extensively review the available evidence and have concluded the federal charges cannot be pursued. That is straight crazy. That is crazy. I can't even understand how they can't win. They can indict a ham sandwich. They can put it together, and the feds have the ability to basically hold people until they finish the investigation, and they know usually they hold the person until a person tell or they find enough evidence to keep them. Okay, so later a video. So this is about the video surfacing of the beating. So we already know, like we said, it was lies. It was two different findings of the autopsy, but as a healthcare professional, I'm not an expert on post-mortem, changes, but I don't think bones fuse together to be broken one time and broken another time, because I know I like to watch a lot of geographics and old movies and documentaries about our ancestors. So usually they can tell the manner of death thousands of years later. So I can't see how they didn't see a broken spine. But as you saw in the first autopsy, they even talked about, or even in the FBI report, that there were signs of beating, abuse in the video. So that shows you that basically the DOJ sucks. I'm just gonna be honest. They indict what they want to indict, and I do believe, and I'm gonna have to talk about it from this perspective. I do believe that we're under genocide in America, and if you don't understand it, we're gonna break it down in several different aspects on Uncensored Enlightenment Talk. We're under genocide as Black America. It is mentally, financially, spiritually, and socially. So these type of things, it needs to be highlighted that in the social justice system, we are severely defaulted in the cases. that we get tried in, and how they pursue justice against us, and how they portray us. They portray us as dogs and animals, and that our life really doesn't matter in America. And that's part of the steps of genocide. That's why I really think it's important for us as brown melanated people to know our nationality and who we are. It's called a national platform. And I really do think Black America is gonna have to one day go on that national platform and cry out genocide. That's why you have people migrating to other countries, because they've been going through genocide. They've been going through things like like religious oppression. And we go through that, but we just don't pursue it the way other people do, like leave the country. But I'm just giving you an example. Like this is, I really feel like it's really bad the way they handle us as people in America. So I'm not gonna let no one forget, especially how they wipe our history out and try to change what happened. You see what I'm saying? Years down the line, if we don't report on this and keep reporting on what happened, they're just going to change the narrative and say, this happened. So at this point right now, there's two updates. Well, I updated the last time I did the Shanquella case. If you don't know, please look. I'll put it at the end. I did two videos on Shanquella. And this is the last update, was the federal lawsuit that they filed. So let's play this. Make sure that that's muted. All right. So the lawyer of the mother of Shanquella Robinson has filed a lawsuit in the Charlotte woman's death. Let's go. Let's play this.
Charlotte woman on an update in the case of the mysterious death of a Charlotte woman on vacation with her friends in Mexico. According to our ABC News partner, the mother of Shanquella Robinson has now filed a lawsuit against her daughter's travel companions. According to the family's attorney, the Robinson family is seeking damages to address both the emotional and financial toll of the incident. Robinson traveled to Cabo San Lucas in 2022 with a group of 6 friends. They claim Robinson died of alcohol poisoning, but investigators said the 25-year-old died of a broken neck. No one has been criminally charged.
All right. So this was the hold on. The young lady, Dejanay, who was the not alleged assailant, the one we started beating on Shanquella, not only changed her name, but she has a nerve to be fighting this lawsuit. Yes, this is how emboldened this system has made bad characters. So this is the Stomp FBI document reveal new details. Is this new? This March 2025. So it's something new in here I wanted to show y'all. It's the footage. So here is Mexican authorities issued an arrest warrant for one of the Cabo 6. Her name is Dejanay. Okay. But the State Department reportedly never forwarded the request to the International Affairs Office, so they were never extradited to this day. Why? That's why we can't let things die down. We have to keep talking about it. People have to keep writing letters with the family. That's why they're constantly on their Facebook page crying out for help. That is not just to make a post, y'all. It's really about us coming together and putting the pen to paper. All right, so the judge dismissed Shanquella lawsuit against the FBI and the State Department because the family feels like they didn't do a good job. Let's watch this right real quick. Why Shanquella Robinson murder case is stuck allegedly. Why? Because it's 2 different autopsies. So what? They don't need that autopsy. Let's play this real quick. Let's see if it. Okay. Okay, the FBI is investigating the murder of Shanquella Robinson in Mexico. This is why it's like the 25-year-old woman from North Carolina traveled October 28th. Her anniversary is coming up. With the 6 university friends, okay, where she was found unconscious. I want to see why it's stuck. Autopsy report lists the cause of death as severe spinal cord injury at luxation. The approximate time between the injury and death is 15 minutes allegedly. So I know what they're trying to say. I know they're trying to say like compared to the people's statement, the witness statement, the autopsy may reflect different, but they have to understand that all autopsies are not always right. I'm just gonna be honest. That is what it is. There are autopsies that I severely question were they done correctly, especially because of the biasness of the forensic analysts. In some cases, it's not a fucking joke. I'm gonna be honest. So you can't always run with that. I heard testimonies where, okay, just for instance, in the Tyree Nichols case, when you heard the forensic analyst talking about, the course of the hospital. If y'all remember, I went through that. She tried to bring up the fact that he had clogged arteries and it could have led to him having hypertension and leading to his kidneys failing. Not to the fact that he was beaten down, he was internally bleeding, and he was fine way before that. That's what I'm talking about. That's why I be like, I don't believe all forensic analysts because sometimes they be compromised, and that's just real. Because that's what it sounded like when the lady was testifying in the Tyree Nichols case. If y'all didn't see that, go check it out. That's what we do here. We kind of go deeper into analyzing things that's happening. So just in case if you're involved in or someone you could kind of know how to analyze it and how to kind of come at it. Because these are some of the things that we don't pay attention to. We be so caught in the emotionalism of these situations that's when it's time for us to fight, we can't fight. So let me figure out why was it stuck. But honestly, I think it was stuck. And I'm just gonna have to say it uncensored because they categorize us as black, ex-voided, as nothing. So just is the contradiction in the autopsy, basically. And by saying that she was alive for several hours, then pronouncing her dead. So that just said that they did fraudulent paperwork. So the Mexican government officials, they the assessment was wrong, the timing on the paper was wrong, all of that, but it does not negate the fact that this young lady, it was a video of her fighting or getting fought on, her back hitting the corner of the side rail very hard, and then she becoming unalive and they leaving her. They left her. So these are a lot of factors that I'm like, yo, this is wild. And before we move on to our next story, I'm gonna just talk about a story where they literally went out to sea to go get somebody because the person laughed at them. FBI. Okay. So the judge dismissed Shanquella's suit against the FBI and the State Department. Robinson family pushes for the case to stay in the United States. No ruling made in Shanquella hearing as of yet. And we're going to keep our eye on what's going on with her particular situation. So it's the new court filing, which is $100 million, the federal lawsuit. So we know that they try to already separate the feds and the government, saying, nah, they just doing their job, even though they didn't do a good job and they didn't really investigate. That's why I think a lot of our issues need to be brought to the national floor. We have to bring it there and call genocide. You can. And then y'all we have another it's honestly we have to have another country come dictate the actions of how they treat us in America. Black America is not a joke because Black Americans have no representation because we're not connected to land. And I'm saying me categorizing myself as Judah, as Black America. So they use that as we not having no representation. And I fall under that as Levi because they be trying to disrespect Haiti. Even though I have an embassy that's connected to my nation, they you see what they do in Haiti, but we don't care Haiti. We separate. We like, look, y'all, but that's a whole nother story. But I just want y'all to understand the power of having representation and my opinion why Black America is treated like this in the courts and when they're investigating us. The 13th Amendment was made for us. They're still trying to define how to treat Black people. So that's why we had to put this all together. This is not sectionated stuff. This is a systematic genocide to Black America. This is my opinion, and we just talking about some things. But honestly, I think it's coming to him because of the things that we're going through out here. It is. They're so emboldened that they're erasing history. They're going directly after things that's supposed to represent Black America and it really don't, like DEI. But even to use that propaganda and say Black America, DEI, when it's not that's not what DEI is. It shows the level of hate that they have for Black America. And people, it floods our internet, it floods TikTok, it floods Instagram with all the propaganda. Then it moved on to Black fatigue. Can you see the systematic genocide that's going on here? And genocide engulfs what engulfs genocide is when the people don't look at the other people as human anymore. And I don't think they're looking at us like we're human. That's why they're okay with doing this. So right here is the $100 million Shanquella Robinson federal lawsuit. Let's play this real quick. But we know that the DOJ
judge hearing some arguments in a case related to the death of Shanquella Robinson, the Charlotte woman who died on a trip in Mexico. Her mother is suing the FBI, the U.S. Department of State, and the people who were on the trip with her daughter. You'll remember the FBI found that there was not enough evidence, that is, to prosecute the Cabo 6, and also ruled that Shanquella's death as inconclusive. The lawsuit claims the federal agencies involved were negligent in how they handled her death.
They're the investigative agency for the country. They know what it takes and what time and delay does to evidence, that it will spoil, that it could lead to spoliation of evidence.
The lawsuit is seeking $100 million. We do want to note the judge heard from attorneys of some of the travel mates. They're asking for the case to be tossed, saying it should be handled in Mexico, not in the United States.
Okay, so now what we're going to do is show the last update of what's going on and how Miss Dejanay think that she can change her name and get up out of this lawsuit. That's how emboldened, even we do it to each other. That's Deuteronomy. Can't say this ain't black on black crime. It is. And we got the devil in all of us. So it's like some of us ain't going to make it. God will get his recompense. But yeah, she's still walking around, living her best life. Come to find out that her family has some type of connections out there. But we'll get more in detail about that if we do a follow-up. But let's play this right here. Shout out to WCNC. This was 2 months ago.
Shanquella Robinson, you may be familiar with this. So we got some new developments. And again, new developments when it comes to the ongoing fight, when it comes to justice and the death of Shanquella Robinson. She's from Charlotte. So one of the travel mates who vacationed with Robinson in Cabo back in 2022 is trying to get the civil lawsuit against her thrown out. WCNC Charlotte's Jessica Pierre joins us live now. She's there at the Mecklenburg County Courthouse, I believe. So, and Jess, you've been following the story for months. Catch us up. What do you have? What's the latest?
Hi, yeah, so I'm right outside of actually the federal courthouse, and we were just here a few months ago when a federal judge heard the arguments in a lawsuit that the family filed against the FBI, the Department of State, as well as all of the 6 travel mates. Now, it's been more than 2.5 years since Shanquella Robinson died in that mysterious death in Mexico. And we had seen that video. That
it really bothers me they keep calling it mysterious, but I'm gonna concede it's not mysterious.
That went viral, showing her getting beaten by one of those travel mates. But after all of this time, no one has been held accountable. So like I mentioned, the family sued all of the folks in the trip, the FBI and the Department of State, claiming negligence for the federal agency. And so now the woman who has been accused as being the main aggressor in those videos, she's asking for those charges to be dropped. So Imani Green, she changed her name. Her name was Dejanay Jackson, but now she goes by Imani Green. She has filed so that for the judge to dismiss the wrongful death lawsuit against her. She claims that she wasn't properly served in the court documents and says the statute of limitation has expired. Now, we did reach out to Shanquella Robinson's family attorney, Sue Ann Robinson, and she says that this information is incorrect. So, it's gonna, I guess, it kind of all comes down to what the judge decides at the end on if this case is going to be dismissed or not. However, the judge did dismiss the lawsuit against the FBI and the Department of State. Now, Another thing, again, this has been a long ongoing case. The travel maids, when they first came back from the trip, they spoke to the family and told them that she had died of alcohol poisoning. But, you know, her death records and so forth showed that she had a broken neck and a severed spinal cord injury on that trip, which all, you know, go along with that mysterious death of hers. And then that video that went viral after that, showing her getting beaten by one of those folks on the trip, tells a different tale. So, you know, her family has been fighting for justice for a very long time, just really wanting someone to be held accountable in her death. Now, at last check, no final ruling has been made yet on the dismissal request. Nick?
And Jesse, before I let you go, on a personal note, like at least since I've been here over a year and a half, and you've been covering this story a lot. Like, what has it been like covering this story? Because there's been so many twists and turns since this happened.
You know, there have been a lot of twists and turns, and it's been a long time, and there's been a lot of emotions tied to this case. You know, I mean, I remember going to her funeral, and hundreds of people showed up wearing pink and, you know, showing support for her, people who knew her, people who didn't know her. And I think that the question continues. You know, you go on a trip, you know, vacation with who you believe are 6 friends of yours. And then, you know, if you're a family member of Shanquella Robinson, it's like, wait, what happened to my child? You know, she went on this trip. You see this video of her being beaten, and there's so many questions. Why would this happen? Why would others sit around and, you know, record it, you know, and not do anything to stop it? And so now you have.
I mean, how many charges could be like put against these Cabo 6 just based on what we've seen? And it's not circumstantial. You see this. They left, they lied, the video, the fight, everything. They lied to the mom. It was even allegations of money being taken from Shanquella. A little backstory was that she was a really nice individual. That's why my heart resonates for her too, as well, because sometimes your kindness can really be taken for weakness, and you just being kind, giving to people, and they're around you like vultures. So allegedly, her best friend, which was the guy, was using her. All types of things were going on. So we're gonna keep our eye on this. But obviously, Dejanay changed her name. This is the young lady who we're talking about right here. She's still walking the streets of, I guess, North Carolina as a free woman and trying to fight this case with no consciousness. And it's so crazy because you know how the YouTube streets is. I was keeping my eye on it, and they were talking to their family, asking them how they feel, and their family was getting upset and everything. We codify some of this behavior. So I want to send love and blessings to Miss Shanquella Robinson. I don't want anyone to forget her story. Her family is still fighting for justice for her. The suit is still pending against the Cabo 6. I don't have a picture of all of them, but we definitely want to make sure that we put Miss Dejanay up there. All right. So with that being said, what we're going to do is move on into our next presentation. And I'm bringing this back up because we have to look at this from another perspective. Our government does us dirty, and we have to find a way to circumvent it. You know, we really have to find a way to learn about law, learn about court, learn about our status, find out the why they're doing this to us. And a lot of it is because we don't have representation and we don't understand how to use the back doors of the system that they use. So now we're going to get into another really heavy case. This case right here is the story of Miss Kenneka Jenkins, and we're going to do a little flashback on it. Now, we're going to bring up some of the aspects in this particular broadcast of why I believe that the FBI should have done an investigation into this more than what they did, because this story has twists and turns that really sends up red flags to me that says the FBI should have stepped in and took over. So the final moments of Kenneka, this was 7 years ago. Let's put this on. And it was hard to find an older video that wasn't like chopped up, shredded. People to this day still talk about this story. As you see, I'm talking about it. Kenneka's mom actually is still mourning. We'll get her Facebook on the screen as well. And I would assume that people are not, sending crazy things to her, and they're supporting her with love. But some of these parents get met with hate, as what you're going to see when we get into the Kendrick Johnson situation. And that situation really hurt me bad. But let's start with the next story, which is Kenneka Jenkins. Let's do a little flashback.
Tonight, hours of new video are released revealing more about a woman found dead in a hotel freezer. CBS 2's Audrina Begas joins us now. So you poured through this video. What is it showing us?
36 hours of video, and this was just released to us a few hours ago. This video shows Kenneka Jenkins walking into the kitchen, but we never see her entering the freezer. And tonight, that is why her family is not satisfied with the theory that she walked into the freezer on her own. Surveillance video shows Kenneka Jenkins walking with friends at the Crowne Plaza Hotel early Saturday morning. We see her a few hours later by herself. At one point, she stumbles out of an elevator. Later, she repeatedly hits the wall walking down this hallway. Another camera catches her running into a stairwell and then catching her fall. Video time codes appear to show Kenneka roaming the hotel for over an hour.
She's trying to find her way, and no one from Crowne Plaza Hotel responds to her.
Around 3:30 a.m., Kenneka enters a lower-level kitchen in the hotel. She walks out of frame, but then she's captured walking here on another camera. But we still don't see her entering the freezer.
I want to see her literally actually walking into this freezer and closing herself within this freezer.
I want all of the recordings, all of the communications, all of the reports, the statements that were taken. I want to know the individuals that were there.
Tonight, Rosemont police say 31 people were at the party with Kenneka inside the hotel room, booked with a fraudulent credit card. Police say they're still trying to identify and find 15 of the partygoers. Meanwhile, autopsy and toxicology results have yet to be released.
Why is Kenneka dead? That's where we need to be. We will get to the bottom of it. We will only go to where the facts lead us.
Kenneka's family attorneys say they will be conducting their own independent investigation. They're also considering a second autopsy. Rob and Erica, that's because there's still a lot of unanswered questions tonight.
It's curious because we heard that the authorities were going to show the family the 36 hours of surveillance tape, but clearly they haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, at about 3 o'clock this afternoon, they said they had not seen that video, and they've been requesting it for about 48 hours.
All right, Audrina, thank you.
Okay, so here, some of the
Let me start by saying this. I do not take this executive action.
We'll be talking about that coming up this week. But there's some funny elements of the case when they said that it was 36 hours of video release and things. You already know, especially if you follow me on about the Dalton and Thornton thing, that we do have Mr. Andrew Holmes, which was this is what makes these cases very suspect. Mr. Andrew Holmes, which is a trustee in Dalton at this time, that is accused of sexual allegations. He was a person who was an activist on this particular case with Kenneka, and he allegedly tells the family that he saw the film and everything, and he also lied to the public and told the public that he was told by the family that he can see the video, which he wasn't in representation of it. But the funny thing with that particular character, that it was known that that character, Andrew Holmes, if I could put him on the screen, I have so much stuff up right now, of Dalton, he actually is connected to the FBI. Go look at some of the videos that we have. If you can't put the connection to each other, like this thing is a whole big circle. So Andrew Holmes, the person who represented and said that he saw a video and this is what happened and try to diffuse things, is directly connected to the FBI. And then now, today years old, the other character that was involved in the said investigation, Mr. Jedediah Brown, he is claimed to be connected to the DOJ. Now, the DOJ seems to pop up in these, how we say, they have to charge the individuals when the feds put their case together. So you're seeing things come to fruition. And this is from this man's word most recently. This was another character in the Kenneka Jenkins case that was playing as an activist for our community and causing little disruption or a good enough disruption in the Kenneka Jenkins case. But I just wanted to bring that up because those are some factors that we have to pay attention, because again, these prosecuting bodies sometimes have connections to some of the people or the characters that's around. Again, so let's just make that connection. Now, disturbing details found in the autopsy of Kenneka Jenkins. So again, the 19-year-old told her mother that she was going to a going bowling with friends. Instead of Jenkins end up at a party at the Crown Plaza in Chicago hotel. And that's what we're going to get into a little bit about the Crown Plaza with some of the allegations of, and this is allegations of the Crown Plaza being connected to other businesses that were connected to really bad things in Chicago. We're going to get to it. This is why I think it's very important, or it was a lot of red flags for the feds to actually investigate this in the DOJ, but it has to be a want to. They have to want to do it. Do you see what I'm saying? So we're out of status. They don't care about us as brown melanated people. And there's a lot of crookedness that's being covered up, that's being done and shunted through our neighborhoods. So let's just keep that in mind. So, you know, she went to the party. I'm going to say again, her anniversary is coming up as well. Shanquella's is in October, hers is in September. And I want you guys to be aware of the August, September, and October months. That is the beginning of winter solstice. That's something that we'll talk about on our spiritual warfare sessions. But there's a lot of untimely deaths that happens that falls under alleged sacrifices. But we're going to be quiet. Again, the anniversary is coming up September 10th of Kenneka Jenkins, where her body was found in the freezer. So it was ruled an accident. So according to CBC News, the autopsy determined that Kenneka had passed away from hypothermia. So the thing that was so crazy was that what they don't highlight is that a lock was found on the door from the outside of the freezer. That's what makes this so bad, because anybody who have worked inside of fast food restaurants, y'all know y'all have. I have when I was younger, McDonald's and Wendy's, and used to go inside the walk-in freezer, go get the stuff and come out. And if the door closed behind you, the light cut on, and then there's a button, like a button that you push to unlock that door, because that lever on the outside does automatically lock. Like it's clench, but it's not lock with a lock, like a padlock. So there is some allegations that it was a padlock found on Kenneka's, the freezer Kenneka was in. I just want you guys to kind of highlight, because there's a lot of weird things. And if these investigations are too high strung for the local authorities, this is what the FBI is supposed to do. But again, we're going to see what they do with her particular investigation, if they investigate or drop the ball just like they did in the Shanquella Robinson case, okay? So her firm noted that she had not been prescribed this medication. So in her autopsy, they found alcohol and tryptamate, a medication for epilepsy. Let me see what's the other name for this, because this is a generic name. Got to be another name for this. They don't. Topamax. Oh, okay, cool. I know Topamax. Okay, tryptamate. Okay. That's Topamax. I know what Topamax is. I get that to my patients all the time, but not a lot. Like, you don't give them a lot of Topamax. And they don't prescribe Topamax a lot for epilepsy. But I think I deal with a lot of people with seizures as well. But with that goes to say her family noted that she had not been prescribed the medication. However, CBC Chicago reported that the coronary office said amount were found in her body consistent with therapeutic ranges. There were no date or drugs found in her system, and Jenkins was legally drunk as her body alcohol concentration was 0.112. The coronary stated that her was nothing more than an accident. So like I said, I concur with that, especially because of the medication that they found with her. Let me see something. Topamax side effects. I never knew it could make you that like messed up. Topamax don't usually do that. I guess we don't give high doses. And the only thing it can do, it can lower your blood pressure. A lot of seizure medication does that on top of her drinking. But it says severe side effects could include vision changes, mood alteration, increased risk for suicide thought, and important. So there's the dizziness, fatigue, loss of appetite. That's what I was saying. Topamax is not that bad. That I don't understand. But people just popping pills. Our young people popping pills just to feel a little bit of something with some drink. I don't know what it felt like for those particular situation, but I know Topamax is not that bad. So we already know that some drugs were found in her system. Alcohol level proved that she was drunk. There was at least an hour of footage of her roaming around this particular hotel, which we know this hotel has security. So these are some things we're talking about because I think these are some of the red flags that the feds should have paid attention to or caused them to move forward to try to prosecute some people. So police chief says FBI is not taking over the investigation into the death. So they never took over the investigation of the death, even though some of the things that we talked about. One, you had two traptivists that were causing mayhem around Alexis. Sorry, I do apologize. I meant to say Kenneka's case. Saying this, saying that, and continuing to push crazy narratives online. That's first and foremost. So it was out of the police scope. Once everybody was doing autopsies, doing their own thing online, I think the feds should have really jumped into it. Also highlighting that a person cannot lock their self in a freezer. They cannot lock their self in that type of freezer at all. So let's listen to this Essence article of why the police chief said that the FBI is not investigating. Hopefully it plays, but if not, I'll start reading it. The local police overseeing the investigation of the troubling death of Kenneka Jenkins is reporting that the case is now being handled by the FBI. It said it was, but it's not.
Police chief says FBI is not taking over investigation into teen's death. The local police department overseeing the investigation into the troubling death of Kenneka.
Sponsor message, then we're back.
Are you buying a used Freightliner or Western Star that's no longer under warranty? Are you driving one? Ask your dealer about OEM-backed.
I'm over that. Let's get to it. So these are some of the things I want to pay attention to. So the investigation into the suspicious circumstances around Kenneka's death continues. The Rosemont, Illinois Department of Public Safety want the public to know that the case is very much still in their hands. Police Chief Donald Stephens III directly responds to inquiries about whether or not the FBI is now taking the lead role in the findings out what really happened to the 19-year-old who was found unalive in a freezer on September 20th. After a night of partying with her friends. I would like to respond to the inquiry that the FBI Federal Bureau of Investigation intervening with the death investigation of Kenneka Jenkins. Chief Stephens said in a statement, at this time, the death investigation of Kenneka Jenkins will remain in the hands of the Rosemont Police Safety Department. This investigation has been and remains the utmost priority for us. Okay, so I want you to see that in this particular situation, the FBI did not get involved, but there's many factors that they may want to get involved too, because at the same time, now everything I say now may lead to more allegedly, but I will say this. It was some cases going around in Rosemont related to body harvesting cells. That was one of the things that the people were basically trying to say, that allegedly Kenneka organs were up for sale, allegedly. But what I will say is that the discrepancy in the investigation, let's say this, where you would see a freezer, and the freezer is not supposed to have a lock mechanism that doesn't unlock from the inside. And then the young girl passes away. And allegedly this same company, now this is alleged because what happens is when you do your research, they have shell companies So what is alleged is that there's a hotel out there, well, a funeral home, I do apologize, out there that may have been selling organs or body parts, and they may have the same owner as the Rosemont Crown Hotel. So we're gonna look into that case just a little bit, and that's why I think it's important. That's why I really think that the FBI was supposed to investigate these things. But if there is any big ties, like with the Epstein case, where people connected to people, they're gonna overlook this. So before we get to that, let's just get to the part where we talk about some of the outcome for Miss Martin, which is Kenneka's mother.
A settlement is reached in Kenneka Jenkins' wrongful death lawsuit. She was found dead in a walk-in freezer at the Crown Plaza Hotel in Rosemont back in 2017. Surveillance video showed her walking near the freezer, and today a judge denied a motion to keep the details of the settlement sealed. But the issue is expected to be revisited in court next week.
Watch breaking news on YouTube.
What we know is that she did get a settlement for her particular situation against the hotel, which is makes sense because the hotel is responsible for neglect. They are. It was a whole hour of this young lady walking around on security camera where her security was watching. And the crazy thing is that she somehow goes into a freezer and no one finds her until the next afternoon. That's why there were other allegations that the security may have been involved as well.
Walked into a hotel party, but never walked out alive. 19-year-old Kenneka Jenkins vanished. Her friends said she was drunk, but hours later, her body was found inside a hotel freezer. The door locked from outside. No one saw her enter, except one thing: the hotel's CCTV. In the footage, Kenneka stumbles through empty halls alone. No friends, no threats. But something feels off. People believe the video was edited. Crucial moments missing. The police called it an accident. But till this day, the internet screams, where's the rest of the footage? Was it a tragic mistake or a well-planned cover-up?
All right, so this is the next part that I want to bring up.
Now, I'm not one to gossip.
Shout out to Pink Book Lessons, but that's not what we want to show right now. Hold on one second. Now, there's another thing that we have to pay attention to is basically there's another person that suffered an untimely death right at the same, like around the time of the investigation. So that's why I really think that the feds should have followed up, and we're going to put this on the screen. I'm going to send love to this other gentleman where his name was Zach Stoner. If you don't know who Zach Stoner is, Zach Stoner was someone who had a YouTube channel. That's what I said. It's very serious. Like, these things get very serious. Zach Stoner was someone who had a YouTube channel who was investigating what was going on with Kenneka Jenkins and going on with her walking into the freezer, and he was allegedly finding out information that was very, very detrimental to what was going on. And
this man right here
he started receiving mysterious phone calls. So we're gonna play this real quick.
This man right here almost found out what really happened to Kenneka Jenkins, and then he was suspiciously unalived. And the hard drive that contained the footage and the information of what actually happened to Kenneka Jenkins that night. She vanished and was found in the freezer in the hotel, in the Crown Plaza Hotel in Chicago, was mysteriously stolen. This man's name was Zach, and he had a YouTube channel that he would post on, and mostly would interview like rappers and musicians, things of that nature. And he took an interest in the Kenneka Jenkins case around the time it happened because he was from Chicago. When Kenneka Jenkins disappeared, basically he, covered the case, and he always had a strange feeling about what really happened to her, and he felt like something was basically wrong, and that the hotel was lying about the information that they were sharing with the public, and even with Kenneka Jenkins' family. And
Zach believed that Andrew Holmes and Jedediah was lying about what was going on, And Zach was really getting to a lot of what was going on, and he ended up being unalive. But let's finish watch this.
Highly believe that the footage was edited. Now, he received multiple messages, phone calls, things of that nature that he would share with his viewers on YouTube and Instagram. And some of these led to him getting threats and even sometimes threats of him being unalived. One of these particular calls was from a woman, or at least it was a woman's voice. And she said, "You need to stop talking about this case because basically you're getting too close to finding out what really happened to her." At this point, he had a critical piece of information that he was about to share on his channel right before he was unalive. Now, this whole situation happened, and information was stolen from his laptop, and he did not get to share this information with the public, so we'll never really know what happened. But all this basically led to the information that he had on his computer, and these men were higher ups at the hotel that Kenneka went missing at. And since then, none of this has ever been looked into. Since basically none of this has ever been talked about since then.
So I want you guys to remember, because I remember Zach Stoner, and this was another thing that really broke my heart, because he seemed like a really good individual, and he was another one that was just basically just reporting on what was going on. He was outside. He wasn't really. He was out going different places because he used to go into the hood and interview like gang members and try to figure out why they beefing. So basically, when his car was shot up, they tried to make it seem as the reason why was because he was interviewing these different gangs and the sets was getting mad at him. But that really wasn't the case, because a lot of people liked Zach. Zach was a really good person, but he was supposed to be releasing some information shortly before that happened, like literally that day. He got the phone call like 24, 48 hours or something on his live, and then all of a sudden, he was gone. So that's some of the things that I know the FBI is aware of, and they can't not pay attention. So this is what I want to jump into now. The rest right here is to also more allegedly. That's why the FBI should be investigating this. Now, it's hard to put the total connections together right now, because me doing my research, I see that is a shell company that represents Rosemont Hotel, who owns it as a representative, and it's a representative. This place shut down. But right here is father and son from Rosemont accused of selling diseased body parts on the black market. So we're going to watch this. I think this is it.
Charged in a scheme that sold body parts on the black market from people who thought they were donating to science. Donald Green Sr. and Jr. are also accused of selling parts they knew were diseased without telling the buyers. They worked at the now closed Biological Resource Center, which arranged body donations for medical research. Authorities were led to them while investigating a broker in Detroit, a broker now in prison. Green Sr. is charged with wire fraud. Green Jr. is charged with concealing a crime.
So allegedly, these are the individuals who were over this cadaver type of program that they had out there, where you can donate your family body, but come to find out that they were basically just selling diseased bodies. And there's a lot that they were saying, there's a lot of crime in Chicago, and that they were getting rid of certain bodies like this. So funeral home operators sentenced after illegally selling body parts. So they were sentenced probably a year or two later in 2023. And I'm bringing this up because it is alleged that these people that are connected to this funeral home in Rosemont was connected to the alleged Rosemont Hotel. Okay. So, as people still talking about that, you can go watch their videos, check them out. But these are some of the things why I think the feds should have did an investigation, thorough investigation, and ruled out all of this stuff. Okay, that's why people are still talking about this case to this day. So funeral home operators sentenced after illegally selling the body parts. Now, the reason why people will run with more that it was something to do with the hotel than actually the friends, or the friends too, because Kenneka walked around the hotel for a whole hour lost, as though they did not have security. and it was alleged that security may have known in more detail what happened. But we're going to move forward. 2 funeral home operators in Colorado were sentenced. Hold on, this is Colorado. Is this the one? Hold on. Give me a second. Are they in Colorado now? Let me just make sure. Oh, this is the Sunmass one. This is another one. Hold on. Were they sentenced yet? I believe they were. Let me see. Hold on. Let me go to this other article real quick. And that's just to show you that I had pulled up another article that showed another funeral home doing that, but this is, I'm like, Colorado, hold on. This is not far-fetched. So, all right, so family are told that their loved one's body, this was the one that was in Illinois. So I want to see, was they sentenced? Donald Green is also holding oh my God. Listen to this, guys. If y'all follow me with the Dalton thing and everything, this is some Southside nonsense. So Green and his namesake are both facing felony charges, accusing of scheming to defraud for knowingly withholding test results showing human remains they sold were positive of infectious disease like hepatitis. CBS 2 had no luck tracking the two down, but reached out to agencies they've been affiliated with over the years. The Illinois Funeral Directors Association respond right away, stating Donald Green is the is a present member, and its requirements is to be an active funeral director. Green is still a licensed funeral director and embalmer in the state of Illinois, with no discipline listed in their records. He no longer owns the cremation business the FBI raided a year ago in Shella Park. The city listed on his license. So to keep his license active, he's supposed to be still doing it. But moving forward, the state agency responsible for regulating this didn't originally respond to the repeated request for more information about Green is still licensed, if he's still working, and why his license lists no discipline. But the response late Monday night, in light of the fact that the recent federal action, we will review the status of his license and see what measures are appropriate. Literally selling diseased bodies and cadavers. So Donald Green is also still holding the elected position as Park District Commissioner in Rosemont. You see why it's so important? Where the Biological Resource Center of Illinois are based. Let me just look at that. Hold on, y'all. Give me 1 second. I got a list of what's connected to the South Side. Is Rosemont? No. It's not Cook County. I was looking. Riverside is. Pablo's Height. I was just checking. I was like, dag, is this part of the South Side? But I know it ain't that far. All right. So right now, this guy, hopefully he in jail and his license got rebuked. You know what I'm saying? We're going to look more in detail when we do a follow-up on each individual persons that we talk about. But that was some of the crazy things that happened actually in the Kenneka Jenkins case, and why I really thought it was important for the feds to follow up. Not only the sketchy background of the funeral home and what they were doing in the hotel, the whole hour of her walking around, and how the freezer was locked and that freezer is not supposed to be locked, as well as the 2 actors that we brought up, which was Jedediah, which is allegedly claiming to be connected to the DOJ, who won't prosecute cases that we have been showing you, as well as in this particular case, you had Andrew Holmes as well from the village of Dalton. Andrew Holmes would basically said that he was able to see the video, that nothing happened, and Andrew Holmes is known to be directly connected to the feds, the FBI. If you go on to the FBI website, you will see a video, unless they took it down, of Andrew Holmes being one of the top guys. If you don't know who Andrew Holmes is this person right here. Hold on one second, y'all. I just had it up. Give me 1 second. I just had this picture up. Okay, so this is Andrew Holmes, who is connected to the infamous Tiffany Henyard. And again, Andrew Holmes was another person within the Kenneka case who was spreading misinformation and connected to the feds. So I'm just trying to figure out, why wasn't it charges actually pressed? Do you see what I'm saying? So now what we're going to do is get into Kendrick Johnson. All right, so Kendrick Johnson is another case that really bothered me. If you follow up, you can follow his mother on Facebook, and she's a Georgia resident. And this gentleman, young boy, he was a baby in high school, and he was found unalive in a rolled up mat. Okay. And this was very troubling because of the findings. Again, I'm stating these particular cases because I do believe the FBI intervention should have took place, and if it did take place, the actual investigation was severely blotched. So here goes another case right here with Kendrick Johnson that's basically highlighting a blotch investigation. Now, this was 11 years ago. I want to send love and blessings to his parents. We're going to put this CNN clip on the stage. I want to say thank you guys for being here, giving respect to the parents. These cases are not old. It's not old to them because, again, they never got recompense, and again, they're still outstanding. So this is what made me say, is justice or just us? So let's play this.
Tonight, Victor Blackwell has exclusive information, some disturbing new evidence, photos and videos that only raise more questions. And we do want to warn you, some of the video you're about to see is graphic, difficult to watch. Here's Victor's report.
It's the only video shot inside the Lowndes High School gym the day 17-year-old Kendrick Johnson was found dead. And with his parents' approval, we're showing it for the first time. Lowndes County, Georgia investigators say Kendrick's death was a tragic accident, that he climbed onto these rolled gym mats to reach for this shoe at the center of one mat, slipped, got stuck upside down, and died. County officials say the blood in this photo spilled after Kendrick's heart had stopped pumping hours after he had died. But Kendrick's parents say the photo and the video show something else.
There's enough evidence to show that Kendrick was murdered.
CNN has exclusively obtained the 15-minute video and nearly 700 photos of the scene taken by Lowndes County investigators. And for the first time, Kendrick's parents, Kenneth and Jacqueline Johnson, are ready to look at them, including these pictures of orange and black gym shoes investigators found just yards from Kendrick's body.
Did these shoes belong to Kendrick?
No.
When you look at these shoes that were at the scene, what stands out to you?
The blood on the shoe.
But investigators say tests show the stains are something other than blood. So the shoes were not collected as potential evidence.
Wow.
I don't understand why.
CNN took the photos to independent private investigator and former FBI special agent Harold Kopis. If you were on this scene, would this have been something you would have left?
No. Bag and tag.
There's no indication investigators ever even looked for the owner of the shoes or this hooded sweatshirt found a few feet from Kendrick's body.
Wow.
And if you look real close, there's something on this particular cuff. And then the question is, was it blood? Did you test it?
According to the crime lab report, no.
They know something happened in that gym, and they don't want it to come out.
For the Johnsons, there's no stronger indicator than this photo. It's of what appears to be blood dripping down a wall. Here's what Lowndes County Lieutenant Stride Jones told CNN about that wall in May.
And we tested it, and it was blood. And we did DNA testing, and it was not the blood of Kendrick Johnson.
If it wasn't Kendrick blood, who blood was it?
Did you ever find out who it was or any involved?
No, as of now, we haven't, no. But it doesn't appear to be related to our crime in any way.
What do you think about the decision not to test it further?
You can't explain it. If you're running the crime scene, then you're going to say that's potential evidence. Obviously, we're going to check this out and find out who does it belong to.
This is an athletic gym. I mean, obviously, this is where they conduct various athletic classes and instructions at.
A kid couldn't have scraped their knee or arm or something and got that much blood on the wall.
There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 impacts.
The opinion of our crime scene personnel, after looking at it closely, the blood appeared as it had been there for an extended period of time. It didn't appear to be very fresh.
School gym. There is no way that they would allow whoever was supposed to clean this gym to leave that blood on that wall.
Thank you. We're not even safe in school. We're not even safe in school.
And there's the question, why was there no blood where they expected to see lots of blood? Remember the photo of that shoe investigators say was inches below Kendrick's head? Look at it again.
If he was inside the Met, reaching for that shoe, inside this tool, reaching for the shoe, and the shoe is beneath him, why isn't that shoe covered with blood?
And what do you think about that shoe not being covered with blood?
It was placed there.
Why was the shoe at the bottom? How would you be sliding yourself into a mess? The whole story behind this was ridiculous, and it shows us the intelligence of the Georgia Investigation Bureau. No disrespect, the lies is so ridiculously simple that a baby can see through it. That's what really kills me.
Hey, Sheriff Ryan. Hi. Victor Blackwell, CNN.
Chris Prime.
The Sheriff's Department has denied a cover-up, but we took the Johnsons' concerns to Lowndes County Sheriff Chris Prime.
Got some questions about the Kendrick Johnson case. Why not, sir?
Because our case is closed.
The family has some concerns about why some things were not taken into evidence. There was blood on the wall.
I'm not gonna discuss the case with you.
And why is that?
Because I don't want to.
Then, less than a minute after he'd invited us in,
What did you not understand that I said? I'm through talking to you.
he ushered us out.
Thank you, Sheriff Prime.
This is us. Justice or just us. This is how they treat our crimes. He's a baby. He was a baby in high school. This is why I feel like us as the Black community should not have trust in this system. I don't care how much subrogation you're under or how much Stockholm syndrome you have. You know that this is not correct, the way they handle this, and the disregard and the disrespect that this sheriff even have to know that it was a young child. Even let's talk like even with the situation with the two boys where the young boy who stabbed the other boy, who we're going to be following up on. Please give me a minute to remember his name. And he a basketball player name, but you know what I'm talking about. Even in this case, when they talk about his death, they have so much sympathy for the young Caucasian little boy. But here, they have no sympathy for Kendrick, because when they look at us, our Black boys, they look at them like adults. Like, it does not matter that he looks like a child to us, but in their eyes, he's an adult. And that's why we have to change the tone with our broadcast, the way we represent our kids, the way we talk to our kids, and how we teach our kids. Honestly, we can't be blinded. That's why it's not always safe for us to be in some areas that's mixed. His town, I wouldn't even be in his town. I don't like driving past there. I won't stop to get gas, none of it, because of this particular case.
I don't believe this was an accident. I think this young man met with foul play.
The Justice Department is reviewing the pictures and the video to decide if it'll launch a federal investigation into Kendrick's death. But for Kendrick's father, the evidence is clear.
Someone murdered him. They should be in jail. They are covering it up. They should be in jail.
Victor Blackwell joins us now. So the former FBI agent says that the crime scene was contaminated. How so?
Well, Harold Copa says that it's crime scene 101, that when you're on a scene investigating, you wear the shoe protectors. Those are the blue booties you see on the crime shows on television. Well, look at these pictures. You can see here that these investigators are not wearing the shoe protectors, and it's not so much to protect the scene rather to protect your shoes, but it's to protect the scene from anything you could track in. And Copa says because they're not wearing those protectors, this scene was obviously contaminated.
And clearly, you tried to talk to the sheriff there. They clearly didn't want to talk. Is there anyone tied to the investigation who is willing to talk?
Well, we went to speak with the superintendent of Lowndes County Schools, Wes Taylor, and we asked him about the blood on the wall and how long it had been there. Also, I mean, if the theory is true that he slipped into these mats after climbing onto the bleacher to get the shoe, are the mats still there? His answer.
My thing is, why are they showing two different shoes? This is a black and white shoe, and then the shoe that's inside of the mat is white with colors with like, bright orange in it and everything. So it's just a little weird. It's a lot of weird things that's happening with this case, but we're going to keep going because as you go on and the actual internet investigated, they found that, the people that they were allegedly trying to cover up for or saying that may have been responsible for this were FBI agents' sons, twin boys.
Answer to most of our questions, we are cooperating with the Georgia Bureau of Investigations. He wouldn't go further than that.
You would think someone who works at that school would either be able to say, oh, yeah, I remember when a student, bled all over the wall in 6 different places, or not. It'd be interesting to hear if they've been talked to. What about the Department of Justice? Where are they in the their investigation?
The U.S. Attorney in Macon, who covers this district, his name is Michael Moore, and we've spoken with him several times, and each time he says that he is reviewing the information from the Lowndes County Sheriff's Office, and he is going to work to decide if he will open a criminal investigation. Now, just a few weeks ago, we heard from the Civil Rights Division. They've said that they will not open an investigation through their department, but it still could be opened as a criminal investigation. Michael Moore says he could come up with that decision in a week or in a month. He doesn't feel rushed. He wants to make sure that he gets it right.
And we're going to find out what they decided.
10 years have passed since the...
It's so crazy because the Civil Rights Division doesn't move forward with an investigation, but when we do our investigation, we come to find out that these boys and Kendrick had issues for at least some part of the school year, and it's been brought to people's attention, and it has something to do with a girl and that girl possibly liking Kendrick. So there's a new videos that's released. Let's play this.
We're hoping that this video would give them some answers. There was even a hashtag on Twitter, "Give us the tapes." But it appears that this video is only providing more questions and very few answers. We've got a couple of clips from these hours of video we've watched. Let's look at the first one, and it shows Kendrick walking in from the right side of your screen there. He's behind another student, and as soon as he runs out, you see that student disappears, and a couple of other students appear. It's from one image to the next with no explanation of how those students got to that position or where the student at that red shirt went. Now, we blurred their faces because their students got to that position, or rather, it's from one image to the next with no explanation of how those students got to that position or where the student at that red shirt went. Now, we blurred their faces because they're
not even showing the actual clip they're talking about right now.
In this video and the next. Let's go to the next one. You can see Kendrick at the bottom right of the screen. He's walking at first, and then he runs out of the frame. And just like the first video, other students just appear. No explanation of how they got to that point. You don't see them walk in. We've not edited these videos to just kind of...
So basically, there's a whole big section that's missing with after Kendrick runs and possibly seeing people run after him. And then it's also a section missing with how this person shows up on the screen.
Put one image next to the other. This is how we receive them from the sheriff's office today.
So the video seems to be jumping around. You're saying those aren't edits? Is that, I assume it's a motion sensor camera. Is that the way it's supposed to work, that it may take a few seconds for an image to register?
That was our first question. When we see the images, especially of Kendrick with all these hours of video, it's like, well, what happened at the end of this and how did these students appear? Was this video edited? So we reached out to both the school that owns the cameras that recorded it and then the sheriff's office, which had a copy of it, which supplied it to us. I want to read you the statements. First, from the school district, an attorney for Lowndes County Schools says simply, what we produced to the sheriff is a raw feed with no edits. And then from the attorney for the sheriff's office, my client has confirmed that the video was not altered or edited by anyone within the Lowndes County Sheriff's Office. They both maintain that what we see is exactly what was recorded.
I'm sorry, this really hurts me to watch it. It really bothers me because we could point out and see that the video has been altered. Is nowhere, no other shape or form or fashion to see that the video has been altered.
What about the corner where the gym mats are, or where Kendrick's body was ultimately found? I mean, that seems to be the key place. We've known there was a camera there. You saw the video from that camera today. What did you see?
Yeah, this is the most important camera of all 36, and I want to show you the video. It's blurry. Of all 36 cameras, a video that was provided, this angle is blurry. It's almost impossible to make out any of the faces.
So this is probably where you're seeing the twins, the FBI sons in here and everything.
And if you look at the corner, it's the top left of the image. Those are the mats in which Kendrick Johnson was found. What you don't see is the top of the mats. And we know why that's important, because sheriff's deputies say that he climbed in through the top of the mat. They say that the students who found him were playing on top of those mats. And in this video, because you can't see that image, you can't see that. Also, you know, we saw from one image to the next in the other videos. From looking at this, we see students playing basketball, and then a few frames later, we see what appears to possibly be the nurse running in. Then we see someone running through with a gurney. So there is, we know from the file of the investigative file, there are activities and there are events between these, but we just don't see them through what is the only blurry image, the blurry angle of all 36 cameras that were provided by the school district and the sheriff's office.
So
And I'm gonna stop there because I gotta say something very important. This is very disturbing to watch because it was a whole systematic lie and cover up with this thing. Like the video blurry, they saying that a gurney was brought in. It was a whole lot of activities that was missing. And I'm gonna be honest, this is things that us as a Black community needs to take to United Nations, because if they're not gonna do right investigations here, this, like I said, this is some of the foundations of me calling genocide on America. I have to call genocide on America because these particular case screams bloody murder. Screams, and in this particular case, it's a little bit more because you have the Fed's family involved in this. So right here is another article that says the second investigation into Kendrick Johnson death closed with no charges again.
After being caught, multiple suspects facing charges tonight after being caught under vandalizing an American Israel.
Hold on, this is not it. Let me read this right here. Over there talking about American Israel. All right, let's read this right here. The second investigation into the death of Kendrick Johnson, a 17-year-old found unalive inside a wrestling mat, and Lotus County. I would never even stop there. County High School has been ruled an accident by the county sheriff. Again, as we see, is so many discrepancy even in the video in itself, and the feds did not take over this case. Johnson family believes the police department is covering up the murder, and the federal investigation that began in 2016 found insufficient evidence to support federal crime charges reported. However, a pathophysiologist who was hired by Johnson family to conduct an independent autopsy found Johnson cause of death was blunt force trauma to the neck, and that some of his organs were missing. The initial investigation concluded that Johnson accidentally slipped into the center of the mat while reaching for shoes and got stuck. This is how dumb the county is and the investigators for them to even say anything like this. This is how disrespectful they are to us as a Black community to even come up with a dumb, horrendous lie like that. An autopsy conducted by the Georgia Bureau of Investigation determined the cause of death was accidental. Positional affiliation. Right. But inconsistencies in the official report on the conditions of Kendrick's body and other discrepancy led the family and community to question the official cause of death. Johnson parents have said they think that their son was unalive. Per the new Finders Kendrick Johnson documentary, students found Johnson's body in the school on the school Day morning. The documentary also noted that there was a gap found in the surveillance video of the gym where he was last seen, and we saw that it was several gaps, several gaps. The FBI investigation report brothers Brian and Brandon Bell. Now, those were the two who was persons of interest but were not charged. That's why I was so much into this situation. This were people who he was already beefing with. We have the actual investigation document, but what we're going to do is going to follow up again, because I do believe that Kendrick Johnson mother is still fighting right now. We're fighting right now for justice. Let me see if I can, because I always see them pop up on my feeds. Hold up. His mother is a true warrior. Her name is Jackie J. I'm just gonna put her up there real quick. I didn't get a chance to put Kenneka mother up there, but Miss Jackie J. Let's just bring this to life again before we finish reading this. Miss Jackie J. Because, like I said, we have people who are very disrespectful, and they feel like, oh, people are dead, they're gone, forget about it. Just understand that's what we do here. We focus on police brutality, injustice, wrongful death. And what really made me want to talk about this was that I had people very disrespectful to the case that I follow, the case that I is helping the parents with, and they basically says that I should stop talking about Alexis and just forget about it, as though her mother doesn't care. So I want to show you guys my Alexis' mother as well, but this is Kendrick Johnson's mother. And to this day, we'll see right here. I bet you she has something about him. Today would be a great day to lock up all Kendrick Johnson killers. Literally 2 days ago. 2 days ago. She's more every day. This is 11 years. No one should ever come on my page and disrespect the mother of someone who died and say we should stop talking about that. Our community is disgusting. And the communities that talk about us and try to represent us is disgusting. I'm going to be honest. So, view her story. I know she has a story about Kendrick, because she always do. Let's see on her timeline. Shout out to Miss Jackie, living her life. But let's show this. God only let you think you got away for so long, then boom. 7 hours ago. Okay. Ever since your child is in a casket, there's a difference. And I mean different kind of hurt. So she's never going to forget that. And I want you guys to know, never forget that. Okay? Never forget that. Just as though I'm going to put Cara Wilson's up there as well, so you guys can understand that mothers mourn every day. This was 2 days ago. Again, this is Cara Wilson's. It says, we are not okay. After some time spent in mourning, people like to think that we're just okay. Maybe that it's a perception that time heals. Maybe there's a belief that we get over our losses. After some time mourning, we are not okay. Time does not heal. And we do not get over our losses, especially when you don't have justice and you have a system that's emboldening these animals that's doing these things. We just learn to put on our brave face. Deep down, we are still struggling. So shout out to love and blessings to Miss Carver, as well as to Kendrick Johnson's mother. And then we'll also put up Kenneka Jenkins' mother Facebook. To this day, that's what I want you guys to realize. This is not just a report. These are people's lives. So again, there's two assailants here that may be walking around that's emboldened, not only by the position of their father being FBI, but also to the fact that they got away with a murder possibly. Okay? So it's not the 4th of July. So again, it says their father was also an FBI agent who resigned after his home was raided for evidence reported. Ooh. Oh, shit. You see what I'm saying? Excuse me. I didn't know the father actually resigned after his house was raided. Social media circulating the image of Johnson's bloated and manipulated body demanded justice for what looked like an obvious murder case. But obviously, why would he quit? Um, they call Kendrick Johnson our day modern Emmett Till. Okay, so we're gonna go back into this a little bit more and get the people up to date because we're talking about everybody at the same time today, and we want to bring up just why the FBI should have been doing investigation on these particular cases. We're going to continue to move things forward, but those brothers are still walking free right now to this day, 11 years ago. So they're about 28 years old right now, just living their best life. So here I do have, unless they having fireworks outside today, I do have the Lotus County Sheriff Office findings. So when we follow up on a Kendrick Johnson case, we're going to do a separate one. We're going to read the findings of the Lotus County, and we're going to find all the discrepancies and just keep his legacy alive, because mom surely wants us to keep his legacy alive. All right, so let's just listen to here where mom says basically the outcome of the investigation was predictable. We have these two young twins who are 28 years old now, 11 years after this murder, who's walking around the state of Georgia with no penalties. And as we hear, the father, who was an FBI agent after his house got raided for evidence, quit, retired, probably still got his pension and everything. Justice or just us? So the Black Wall Street Times, let's listen to this real quick. Hopefully there's no commercials. Kendrick Johnson family says investigation outcome was predictable. Please hit the like.
Kendrick Johnson's family says investigation's outcome was predictable. In an inherently peculiar case that garnered national outrage in 2013, a final decision has been made, and now the case for Kendrick Johnson is now closed. Made official on Wednesday by Lowndes County Sheriff Office's second investigation, Kendrick's parents remain without closure for their son's tragic death. Moreover, even with an earlier FBI analyst, it has yet again been concluded that no evidence exists of a crime in Kendrick's death. What really happened to Kendrick Johnson? Only 17 years of age, Kendrick Johnson was mysteriously found deceased in a rolled-up gym mat at Lowndes High School in Valdosta, Georgia on January 10, 2013. Local authorities' investigation that Johnson may have reached into the mat to retrieve a shoe, got stuck, then suffocated has been disputed by his parents, who stated to CBS 46, "Let go of the investigation," Mr. Johnson said. "Let someone coming away higher than this office handle this investigation, because your investigators are not going to uncover something that they helped cover up. I'm just hoping that this time around someone will come in and do their job," Mrs. Johnson said. "Do what they are paid to do. They're not paid to lie. They're not paid to cover it up. They took an oath to protect and serve, and they're not doing any of that." According to the Griot, videotape shows Kendrick walking into the Lowndes High Gym on January 10, 2013. He was later discovered by a teacher the following day rolled up inside a gym mat. Sheriff Ashley Polk told WSB-TV his office reviewed the FBI's findings and 17 boxes of evidence in their inquiry. "From the documents I've read and the investigation I've seen, I feel 100% sure there was no foul play," Polk told WCTV's Katie Kaplan. "When no one's looking, it's a terrible accident, in my opinion," said the sheriff. "Funny how accidents always tend to occur when no one's looking."
Yeah.
In a befuddling case that has taken nearly a decade just to arrive at another stalemate, the family's mistrust is clear. The investigation includes allegations that then-classmates Brian and Brandon Bell had something to do with Kendrick's death. Johnson's parents filed a $100 million wrongful death suit against the brothers on January 15, 2015, but dropped it on March 2, 2016. Over 40 defendants were named in a second lawsuit filed in August 2016.
I think they dropped a lawsuit because it wasn't filed correctly, and they had to condense some of the parties and things like that. But when we do our focus review on each of these cases, we're going to find out why mom dropped that case.
Including Kendrick's classmates and school board members. Yet nothing. No charges. No nothing. A judge dismissed it and Johnson's parents were ordered to pay attorney's fees associated with the lawsuits. And all but
And that lawyer, whoever took on that case, knew it was going to be that outcome, and knew if they dropped that case that they were going to possibly get penalized from the judge, because they wanted to teach them a lesson, not to fight, not to say anything. What we say go. This is a very Confederate state. Georgia is very Confederate. I mean, lies stand strong. Whatever story they want to put on you in the court, they put it on you. Just like they tried to do with the YSL case, where they tried to just paste things together, and that's why they couldn't beat the RICO or even be successful in a RICO case, because they just lie profusely, and it just doesn't make sense. Sometimes they really think that they could just put things together, paste it together. So let's finish off with this, and then we're going to get to our last case, Ms. Shamaji. This was a case that was kind of swept under the rug in some aspects, because it went around the same time that the Kenneka Jenkins case was happening. Shout out to Chicago. Got a lot going on tonight. At least 2 of the cases is out of Illinois. So let's keep our eye out what's going on out there.
predictable outcome. Jacqueline Johnson stated she is not surprised by the sheriff's findings. We already knew that nothing was going to be done on your watch, she contended. This is how you roll in Valdosta. The Johnson family has never wavered in their belief that Kendrick was murdered. In 2013, their lives were upended, but today they use their unforeseen tragedy to help others who are at risk of the same fate. The Kendrick Johnson Foundation Fund makes its purpose clear. We choose to honor Kendrick by doing what he loved to do the most, helping others. We ask for your continued support in donating to this fund, which will benefit the Kendrick Johnson Foundation's mission to raise awareness on the need for increased supervision and safety within our public schools.
And increased supervision for our Black kids. So I do want to highlight that a lot of these tragedies, the good thing that come out of it is that the parents keep fighting and they keep striving, and they actually start organizations that help other people who have been faced with similar situations. I really think that us as the Black community, if we band behind them and really help them enhance their ideas and work as a team, that a lot more can happen in each one of our communities, because it's called micro coalitions. So I do want to show this. This is really what's alarming, and we're going to leave that right there before we go on to our next case. But investigation confirmed Brandon Bell off campus. That's his alibi. This was one of the twins that allegedly had roid rage. Within this article, I didn't mention throughout this time, but allegedly that this gentleman had steroid-induced rage, and it was showing a lot in his behavior based on allegations that was brought out around this case. So they said that the sheriff's report included interviews with the Lotus High School wrestling coach, the bus driver, and several teammates, all of whom insisted that they left Valdosta around lunchtime. And even if they did left around lunchtime, that does not constitute what really happened to Kendrick. So we're going to get into that some more. But again, there's several factors in this that I believe that the FBI actually blotched these cases. And then they were done intentionally, neglectfully, and because us as Black people don't have any status. And I really think that people, it hurts to hear that, but it is the truth. If you understand status, you'll understand why they treat us the way we do. You have to have a status to represent yourself in the country. And they're taking total advantage of the Black community. So now we're going to get to the baby that was stuffed in the couch, according to the neighbors. An unbelievable, sad update after another this morning breakthrough. So this case was actually about the baby who we talked about, Miss Semaj Crosby. And I'm still learning more about Miss Shamaji's Cosby case. But in any aspects or anything, I can say I think the FBI should have taken over this case and really investigated properly, as though they do other cases, but they choose not to. Because like I said, it's justice or just, hold on. Stub it. Okay, well, I wanted to make it big, but obviously not.
I'm Fox 32's Anita Padilla. New details coming in this morning in relation to the search and tragic ending to the life of a beautiful baby girl named Semaj Crosby. Neighbors are telling us now that they understand that when police went into the family's home yesterday evening, right now, I'm sorry, you are actually looking at police taking a couch that it looks like a piece of furniture that they're taking and putting into a van. The reason they're taking that couch, we just learned, is that neighbors say that when Semaj Crosby was discovered, she was discovered in the couch, stuffed in the couch, not under the couch, but stuffed in the couch. It is a new detail that's coming into our newsroom. A source is telling me as well that the mother is in police custody and she has been told to remain silent. That is coming to me from one of my sources. We're trying to get some confirmation on that as well. Other information that we want to tell you about this morning is that the Will County Sheriff's Department will be holding a press conference to give us more information about this case, and an autopsy will determine exactly how little Semaj Crosby did die. One of the neighbors said that he's very disgusted by this whole situation. He said police went into his home and searched his home, and he was fine with that. He can't understand why they didn't search the family's home.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. Because it was so filthy, they probably didn't want to go inside
earlier than they did.
Someone is scared. It may have possibly been an accident. We all watch shows, TV all day. Just accidentally something happened and they go try to bury the child because they didn't want to go to jail. They didn't have a witness to say that they didn't kill their own child. No one was there to say anything, so they try to cover it up, which actually makes it worse. You know what I'm saying? The fact that we had all of this going on. Like I just said again, helicopters and everything, but she's sitting right there on the very couch that they are in there sitting on, talking to officers. I don't even want to talk about it no more.
That's demonic. That's literally demonic. And we can talk about that from another aspect of mental illness in our Black community, sweeping things under the rug, making dysfunctional behaviors functionable. But this broadcast is focused on why the feds didn't do what they were supposed to do. So obviously they investigated and did a half investigation where they were looking to the neighbor's home, but they did not look into the particulars of Semaj's home. So let's get into this article where they talk about a little bit inside of the home. And again, they're still seeking justice for this. Dad, we will give you the outcome. Dad did receive some monetary gains, but at the end of the day, this was a systematic thing too. So inside the house of horror where a missing 16-year-old girl was found unalive 30 hours after she vanished following a visit from family services. So after 30 hours of searching involving 100 cops, bloodhounds, how do you have bloodhounds that literally don't take you right back to the house? Bloodhounds and drivers. Crosby body was found inside what believes to be her own home. Child Protective Services visited her home 3 hours before she disappeared. New photos reveal the dangers and dirty living conditions the little girl was living in before her unalive. Cans of bug killer were left out in easy reach. Trash bags were strewn all over the floor, and beds were buried with mattresses propped up on the floor. Let's get to the video. Let's see. Anybody talking about no Trump, man? Let me see if it's gonna play or it got another video for you guys. If not, we're just gonna move forward. That's Trump. All right, so this is a picture of Miss Semaj Crosby. She is so beautiful. She's a beautiful little girl. And this was the conditions of the home. Let's see. This is ridiculous. So Child Protective Services was aware of this. And again, a systematic issue. Okay, so this was her mama. She is such a beautiful little girl. And there's some other elements of this case that I want you guys to pay attention to that really makes me say that the FBI should have been investigating, because again, just like in the other situation with Kenneka Jenkins, we had traptivists fake activists out there causing mayhem. And again, something tragic happened around this particular situation, and the cops did not investigate. Let's see what this is.
It's not known yet where the body of the 16-month-old was found inside the home, which is now surrounded by crime tape. There are also no details on how the girl died. The Will County coroner says an autopsy will take place later today. Now, the tragic development comes after more than a day of extensive searches throughout this community involving hundreds of officers and volunteers. Semaj was reported missing late Tuesday, disappearing while playing outside her house with other kids. This morning, one of the volunteers who took part in the search says things seemed suspicious yesterday when he saw the girl's mother. Now, that mother, Sherry Gordon, spoke with WGN yesterday morning, pleading with the girl for the girl's safe return. DCFS has since revealed that Gordon has been investigated for an allegation of neglect. A caseworker had been at the home Tuesday to check on Gordon's 3 kids, but found no safety concerns at the time. Semaj was reported missing just several hours after that visit.
All right, so this is the next thing that I want to bring up, that I believe that this case is also FBI worthy of looking into, because shortly after the body was found, I believe a cover-up took place. And this is where arson most likely, as fire levels home where Semaj's body was found. That is just so trifling. And this is exactly why I believe the FBI should have did a more thorough investigation on this particular case. Let's just read this real quick. The Gillette Township house where the 16-month-old Semaj Crosby was found dead last month burned down Saturday morning, and arson is most likely the cause of the fire, officials said. So we already know possible arson. The fire comes just days after authorities announced that they are conducting a criminal investigation into the toddler's death. The Will County Sheriff Office said it had released control of the house late last week, but the statement issued Saturday morning did not specifically address how the destruction of the house might affect the ongoing probe. Authorities were called for the property on reports of fire around 6 a.m. at the home in a 300-block radius of Louis Road. According to the statement from the Will County Sheriff, crews from the East Gillette and New Lenox Fire Department arrived to find the house fully engulfed in flames. Due to the extent of the blaze, like this was arson, just like what took place in Dolton most recently with that building. The East Gillette Fire Department advised they would allow the house to burn out while maintaining control. They couldn't even throw it out. JB Rentals LLC, based in Calhoun, owns the property. The company could not be reached for further information. So again, this was something that I believe was way out of the scope of local authorities to be able to handle when it came to Semaj case, especially when arson is involved, as well as they literally was investigating their self, and Semaj was inside of the couch, and they did not note that. They did not even have enough common sense to make everybody get out of it. I don't know, really look into the house, what was going on. So this is where the case led to, where they put the blame on defects. I think it was 2 avenues that the FBI was supposed to go down with this case. It was either 1, investigate who actually murdered her and the arson, as well as the tremendous default in our defects in our DIFA system, because there's a lot of kids that go missing. There's a lot of things that go pushed under the table that we'll talk about in later broadcasts. But again, this what led to now they're putting the blame on defects, not the family only, even though defects sort of disgusted with it they were living. You know what I'm saying? So less than 2 months before 17-year-old Semaj Crosby was found, unalive in her couch. She was stuffed in her couch in Gillette Township home. The Illinois Department of Children and Family Services was investigating alleged sexual abuse of a 3-year-old girl, Samaja's cousin, who also lived in the home. Samaja, parietal grandmother, aunt, and her 2 children lived in the same house. So it was the grandmother, the aunt, and other 2 children also lived in the home. Records show that Samaja aunt's boyfriend, a man on parole for domestic violence, was living there too. He lived there for a year but left the home after the 3-year-old mothers found bruises and vaginal swelling. DCFS named him an alleged predator. DCFS interviewed the physician who noted that there was no signs of penetration through the child had grab marks on her legs as well as other bruises, and abrasions. Okay. That was of the 3-year-old, not Shamaja, but it was something terrible going on in that house. So the investigation was one of the 11 initiated by the DCFS and the family in the last 12 months. Shamaja's death, according to the newly released report from the agency, DCFS also led bare in its own shortcoming, listing 9 ways the agency sought to improve after handling the case. So we know that she was found on April 26th, the day before the DCFS had been to the home investigating the child neglect allegation, but saw no obvious hazards or safety concern for Samaja or the siblings. State officials said Samaja, her 3 siblings, and mother all slept in the same bedroom. At 2.5 hours after the visit from the CFS, the toddler disappeared, prompting a massive search of the subdivision near Gillette. The top police official said that the house was in very deplorable conditions, adding that the lawyer for the girl's mother made them get a search warrant before they entered it and found the girl. So okay, so that's why it took a little while for them to find her and go into the home. But usually, I don't know if it's a missing person. If they walked into a place like that and it was a missing person, I think the judge should just automatically let them look through. I would have been looking through anyway. You look through where the person live at first. You're like, okay, it's a baby that's missing here. Let's look around the house. But for them to say no, it really showed a difference. The new report shows that 23 different allegations of child endangerments were made in those 11 investigations. In some investigations, allegations were made against more than one person. Gordon was a subject of 11 allegations, while Shamaja's father, James Crosby, was the subject of 2. 3 allegations was brought against Shamaja's aunt, and 5 more against her brother, and 2 others against the maternal grandmother. Jesus. All right. We're going to get to this because I think it's going to take me to the left because we have a whole nother story to talk about the dynamics in the Black household and the cover up thereof of dysfunction and abuse. But I want to focus on that the FBI had a lot to work with on the Samaja case, honestly, and they really, really dropped the ball as far as investigating who unalived her, who set arson, and I know it was updates done to DCFS considering the death of her. But again, I still think there should be ongoing investigations into defects across the United States because there's a lot of bad stories that come up about how they treat kids, how kids are missing, and yeah, and it's just left like that. This is now Semaj Crosby tragedy 8 years later, where county sheriff and investigation take new turn. So again, we know that this is still open. The sad part is that the FBI still didn't find it in the best interest of the state and Shamaja, the citizens, to investigate this. This is so many angles that really takes it out of the jurisdiction of just the sheriff department. Defects, being liable. seeing what was going on. Did they make deals with people? Did this person get paid? Obviously, you saw the house was deplorable. You said it was okay. They had 11 investigations. What was going on with that connection? Then you have the arson that went on shortly after the body was found. Then before that, they wouldn't even let the sheriff in to look into the house. And then you have actors that were activists, tractivists that were out there causing mayhem and changing the narrative, speaking on behalf of people, causing the investigation to literally be thrown up in hands. And again, I'm gonna have to throw this out here because the FBI felt like they should not investigate this, but this man is known right here to be connected to at least the DOJ. So the FBI will investigate stuff, but the DOJ is the one too that picks up cases and prosecute, as we saw in the Kenneka Jenkins case and on the Kendrick Johnson case, where both entities were involved. And we showed you how these tractivist activists are connected. You have Andrew Holmes that was in the Kenneka Jenkins case that has known in public ties to FBI, giving him awards. And then you have the other character, Jedediah Brown, who's involved, intertwined, in causing destructions in these cases that allege that he's sent by the DOJ. And just the other day, he calls for the DOJ to investigate some stuff after being outed by the community that he is not an investigator. So we really have to pay attention to what's going on in our society because there's something seriously bad going on. Not only is the system not protecting us, but they also sending actors in there to dismantle investigations that they're not even investigating. They didn't want to send us on a rat race. So we're going to have to learn a lot about law and also representation as well, because obviously you can see with the Kendrick Johnson case, his lawyers wasn't even smart enough to, one, sue the right amount of people so mom didn't have to pull back on the case. And when she pulled back on the case, I wasn't sure, was she aware that she would have possibly had to pay the other party's lawyers legal fees, knowing that she lost her son. So to kind of round off with Semaj case, where we're at is Semaj Crosby tragedy 8 years later. Will County Sheriff investigation take turn. Woo! So Gillette, Illinois, the Will County Sheriff Office Criminal Investigation Unit is taking a new approach in regards to bringing justice for little Semaj Crosby, the 16-month-old toddler found dead underneath her family couch on Louise Road in Gillette. It says Lieutenant Nate Freeman, who now oversees the Criminal Investigation Unit, told Gillette Patch during an interview on Thursday that his agency is now undertaking a full case review of Semaj's death. Her death, ruled a homicide in 2017, remains unsolved. We are doing a full review of the evidence, people surrounding the case, and anything else, Freeman told Patch. So they definitely need to talk to Jedediah Brown about his findings, what was going on. Because anytime that man is involved in something bad happened. And it's so crazy. He was causing mayhem and issues, and then that house got blown up. I'm just saying. Since it happened, we've attempted to talk to only 4 people that we believe last saw her alive, but they have either invoked their rights to an attorney or they declined to speak. Despite the roadblocks the Will County Sheriff investigations have encountered, Freeman assured Patch that his agency plans to spend a significant amount of time this year re-investigating Semaj's death. It's a case that means a lot to the agency, Freeman remarks. I bet you it do, because they never saw nothing like that. The pushback from a family to find a daughter not work with the investigation and then the house blow up. I bet you they never saw nothing like that. I'm telling you, Chicago, Illinois, y'all be having some going down out there. Y'all be setting a record for making like TV stuff come to life. So during Thursday interview, Will County Sheriff Chief Deputy Dan Jungle said that other than Sarah Avon, this was the biggest case we wanted to solve because children are involved. One of those people, known as Shamaja, did not end up under the couch by herself. We know that. Shamaja case is now in the hands of Will County Detective Sergeant Mike Ernest, who has spearheaded numerous high-profile cold cases investigation at the sheriff office in recent years. So again, they're going to keep on investigating this. I don't know if I did let you guys know that that there was monetary funds that was released to Samaja's father related to the lawsuit, which was $6.4 million. Let's put this. Oops, sorry. Let's put this on the screen. I want to say thank you for being here with us today. Hit the like button. I know notifications have not been going out, but don't worry, guys. We're working on some stuff. We will get our notifications out. We always have a plan. So, family of murdered Gillette child, Tyler Semaj Crosby, received $6.4 million. So here, the settlement of more than $6.4 million has been reached between the Illinois Department of Children and Family Services and the family of Semaj Crosby, the 17-year-old who were found dead during the couch under a couch in July. I wonder who got the money again, because it better not have been none of them people who was in the house with her. I swear they felt a lot of ways. This was against DFACS. Okay, so in the statement, DFACS improved in this child welfare are never quick and easy. Many of the challenges we face are long-standing and enriched, but everyone in the administration is deeply committed to overcoming them and providing the care that our vulnerable children and family truly need. So they took responsibility for this, but I'm trying to see who actually got the money. What we'll do is when we follow up, because we want to follow up on each case, because some of these cases are still open right now, and they may not be open to the feds or to the county, but they're open to mom. They're open to the family, where they're still seeking justice, and then they turn their pain into power. Where you even see Kendrick Johnson, mother has an organization, and also I'm not sure if Kenneka mother followed up with organization, but I definitely know she always posts about her daughter, as well as the Gillette sheriff. They're very deeply bothered by this because it was disgusting what happened to this beautiful young girl. But again, in each of these cases, our government officials dropped the ball, and I'm talking about on the federal level. And as you see, I bring up a lot of points where the feds had a lot of reasons to investigate that brought it into their jurisdiction. You know what I'm saying? These are some of the things that they supposed to investigate: violent crimes, child crimes. Okay, crimes is just straight crazy. International violent crimes as well. It says international violent crimes. That's where it has the authority to investigate specific violent crimes committed against America and American interests overseas. In some instance, crimes committed by Americans overseas. Y'all want to put this on there real quick? This is why I say justice or just us. And we have to know how to circumvent this. We can't keep just talking about it. I have to tell y'all, we got to put pen to paper. And as I mentioned, a lot of time it may go over people's head, but there's a thing called the United States and the United Nations. Okay, and I'm not talking about the one that's trying to do the New World Order and all of this crazy stuff, but the United Nations, these same United Nations that y'all talk about with that, they actually people like us that are going through things like what Black Americans, we're considered Black Americans going through, which is a form of social, economic, and physical genocide. We can go to the United Nations and petition for representation so we can be treated better. And it's so crazy. Like, what? Why would you? How is that going to happen? The same way United States go into other countries under the guise and say that they don't have democracy and they have genocide against their people. All of that. That's how United States get into people countries. This is what needs to happen here because we're suffering genocide here. Even like I said, when we don't have nothing to do with it, they make us the object of their afflictions to even get their policies passed, and that be fueled with hate. DEI had nothing to do with just black people. It's literally diversity, inclusion, and people who are di- have disabilities. Disability don't mean physical disability. Like they're just disabled to get in disabling situations to get what they need. I.e., I was a DEI. I was a single mother in Newark. If I didn't get the extra funding for me to go to college as a single mother, which was made directly for black single mothers, or not single parents, it wasn't single mother parents to receive extra funding under these grants, I wouldn't be there. So DEI is not about having a physical disability or being not smart, but they use these talking points that may not even have nothing to do with us. I'm just throwing that out there. This is how much hate that's out there for us in America. Now, when we bring this up, it's not to be victims. It's because you're a victim. It's so sad that you could get abused, you could get hit, you can get stabbed, you can get hurt, and then somebody like, you're being a fucking victim. I never knew being hurt or being pursued in a negative way or harm, it makes you the bad guy. But this is what's happening nowadays. So the more we cry out, the more black fatigue happens. This is where black fatigue comes from. The more we cry out and say the injustice, the more black fatigue. And that's why I said we need to stop crying out to them and start going above their head. And also, as y'all know, I'm a separatist. I don't mind us separating because I know we are part of a big chunk of their economy. So once we separate that and understand our power and use our power, which the power in their system is lean green, we will definitely make leeway with getting more representation and having things like this stop happening. It's not just happening to Black America, it's happening all over. So I'm just gonna read this real quick to like put icing on the cake that the FBI is supposed to deal with international crimes. This is one dealing with the Shanquella Robinson case, violent crimes, the ones what definitely crimes that deals with like organ harvesting possibly, and you know that company in Kenneka Jenkins case possibly having connections to the Rosemont Hotel and the Rosemont Funeral Home and those people being on the Rosemont board. It totally should be over the jurisdiction head to investigate because it's going to be so many biases there. Even with the Rosemont case with Kenneka, they chose not to go into that case as well. So here, at least with the Samaji case, that you have the sheriff that still have affliction for this case that wants to allegedly go after, especially because it was so big. But what I would say is that they're failing us. They're failing us. You have to realize our tax dollars, it pays for this, but what can we do to make our tax dollars go the right way? What could we do? And that is literally put the pen to paper, start taking all these people to court, filing class action lawsuits, and taking it in front of the Hague Convention, which is in front of the United Nations, and start putting the case together. I'm just saying. I'm gonna close off with that. I know that went over people's head, but I pray that it didn't. They have a Black Lawyers Organization that's spearheaded and focused on Black litigation for Black Americans, and I think that Black Americans needs to focus on that, as well as myself being a Hebrew. They have Hebrew organizations where they have a Hebrew legal counsel, where I think that my people need to focus in on that as well. And we need to branch together and understand what's our actual position in America. We don't have a standing in America. Black is not a nationality. These cases that I'm showing you should be showing you that they are treating us completely different. You really gotta let go of this Stockholm syndrome. And once you realize that they're treating us completely different, applying the law completely different, that's when you know you have to circumvent that by learning the law, learning how it's applied, and finding ways to go over these people's head. So with that goes to say, we was on for 2.5 hours. I'm going to be breaking this up. I want to say thank you for the people who was popping in, popping out. Shout out to all the haters that keep their eyes on me for some apparent reason because of this demon. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, these fake traptivists and these people who are detrimental to our community will go down. This is one of the reasons why I felt it was important to talk about these cases, because that gentleman played a role in these cases, and anything that he played a role in was either smudged or messed up severely. So again, I want to say I love you guys. I want to say thank you for being here with Grace Levi. Please hit the like button, and I'll see you guys on my next live. Until then, you already know what we're doing. You already know what we're doing.
Guys, this is Super Mayor Tiffany A. Henry, the People's Mayor. So, you guys doing a lot of snitching.
Don't let my snitching fool you. I love a good jam.
I could not be here breathing and be comfortable if I was really as bad as they was making it. You know, nobody could be around me. So for me to be this calm, I must have some kind of inner peace. And my inner peace is knowing that once everybody take the time to really see what type of person I am, you'd be surprised that I stuck around this long. I have to make the life that I do live as happy as I can and try to do the best with what I have. You know, live the best life I can live, be as happy as I can be. Nothing is perfect for anybody. I don't know.
Boys, I swear, I think I figured it out. You know why they don't want us redneck brothers and sisters and the hood brothers and sisters getting along? You know why? Because we'd be unstoppable. I'm telling you right now, we would shut shit down.
Public comment, and she'll just put her head down and she won't listen to anything. She won't acknowledge anything. You know, I've seen mothers of murdered children and people who've lost family members in Dalton. She'll put her head down and she will not even acknowledge that the person is there.
I'm Cara Wilson. I'm the mother of Alexis Wilson, killed by Dalton, Illinois police. At the time that my daughter was killed, Tiffany stood in front of a microphone much like this and said that she stood with the cops and they did do the right thing by killing my 19-year-old child. Not only did she not take those words back, she didn't offer her condolences. She's never said anything. The first thing she did was hire this group of security guards to surround her and PR. So the real reason Tiffany has security is hiding from accountability about what she said about Alexis Wilson when she was killed. Now, if you watch the coverage of this murder, these officers violated her rights, reached in her car, jumped in her car, and put 7 bullets in my child. 2 in her head and 5 down her side. And the next day, you guys tried to spin it like she did something. Watch the video, she did